Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough for the music. Now, I don't know if you were able to stay on. If so, I'm going to take some comments and questions, and we're going to discuss this whole notion of old self love and new self love streaming. Old self love and new self love streaming. If you are on this show and you hear me and you want to make some comments, just let me know and we'll discuss things from there. We got a few minutes and then we'll be closing things out. Amen. Okay. So while we're waiting, let me just say this. The whole idea of what we've been trying to accomplish here is to show you that the way that you build a preponderance of love deposits in the bank of your soul will make the difference in how you live, but also how you are able to control the preponderance of love withdrawals, which tends to be affecting your soul. I see that there's Crystal Smith back. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to talk with us. Anybody got any questions, we'll go from there. And we'll have just a few minutes to have some discussion right now. I'm sure we lost a number of people because the program cut off 3 different times and in just this one presentation. So what we want to do now is anybody got any questions about the God's Love Bank program? Here's a good time to put it in the chat box and we can talk about it right now. Crystal, it is good to see you. I want to get a chance to talk with you when we get a chance. And we can talk about how the study groups are going. I'm getting some good positive feedback from people about the God's Love Bank study groups. Good to see you, Yvette. We appreciate your presence. So now back to this notion of old self-love streaming. Did you follow what we're trying to convey? The idea is that when you have a preponderance of love deposits in the bank of your soul, it begins to control, if you will, dominate your thought processes. And that then creates old self-love streaming. The same is true when it comes to new self-love streaming. When you make a preponderance of love deposits in the bank of your soul, it then helps your soul and your mind to be controlled by love deposit thinking rather than love withdrawal thinking. And that can make the difference in whether or not you have old self-love streaming or new self-love streaming. And so that's the idea of what we was trying to accomplish in this broadcast. But the devil tried to do everything he can to stop it. But I want you to take this weekend and just listen to the notion of that song. I mean, not the notion of the song, but just think about that song and see if that song plays in your mind. You ought to run and tell that. Good to see you, Douglas. Good to see you, Crystal. Good to see you, Yvette. Good to see you, Ronald. There are people still chiming in. We've had 3 breakdowns on this show already today. But we are going to spend probably the next 7 minutes answering any questions that you might have or getting any comments that you have. What do you think about old self-love and new self-love streaming? What do you think about that? Do you believe that is something that's taking place in people's mind? And have you tried thinking about that since we talked about it? Crystal Smith says, yes, the song does run. The song "Run Until This" stays in your head, and you kind of be thinking about it. Absolutely, Crystal. And I noticed that Jerika, you were there earlier. You mentioned something about how that you have been playing that song in your mind, in your soul over the weekend. Tell us, how do you believe that this old self-love and new self-love streaming actually takes place? And how powerful is that when it comes to how you think about things? Then there's Latrice Shields. That's my daughter there. She says, I'm listening, Brother Roach. She calls me Brother Roach. She could say Dad. That's my daughter, my oldest daughter. But anyway, so this whole notion of streaming, as I mentioned earlier, streaming is really a process that's becoming very dominant, very prevalent today. Most television shows now and television stations are streaming Streaming is the wave of the future when it comes to television broadcasting. But just think about this. It was Dr. Gerhard Dirks, some holder of some 50 IBM patents a long time ago, who created the spirit, the computer, the mind, the computer. And he said he got most of his inventive ideas from the spirit, the soul, and the body. And what we got to understand is that the television media and really the internet and all of that is based on how God created us as spirits, souls, and bodies with hearts and minds. And so this computer mania, if you will, this streaming mania is not something new. It really originated from the heart, the mind, the soul, the strength, and the spirit. And so it's important then for us to understand that. Douglas Connolly says, hello, Dr. Roach, sir. Now is everybody doing well? How is everybody doing? Douglas, it is very important for you to know that we're praying for you, and we're constantly in prayer for your health. I know that you had some health struggles. I want to appreciate everybody for praying for my brother's son. His name is Rayshawn, and he has been out now, and he's doing well. Keep him in your prayers. Any prayer requests? Any comments? Just chat with me now. Douglas Connolly says, in fact, the song are really saying to me, we'll run and gossip. We'll run and gossip, but we won't even walk and share the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So Douglas, what you're saying is that people have a tendency to run and gossip rather than run and tell the good news. Well, I think that's probably right. But you know what? When you know the good news and it's made a difference in your life, you will have a tendency to talk to people about the good news and about the gospel of Jesus Christ. If anybody starts talking to me, I'm going to tell them about my new self-love. See, everybody got an old self-love story. Everybody got a new self-love story. So what you have to do is begin to talk about your new self-love story, and you can talk about your old self-love story, and it will definitely get people's attention. I see Douglas McHenry there. He says, our goal and command is to tell everybody about somebody who saves everybody. That is an expression that's been used, and that person is Jesus Christ. We appreciate that, Douglas. Doug McHenry. We need to tell the gospel of Jesus Christ. When was the last time you taught somebody the gospel, by the way? When was the last time you took somebody to the water? Somebody says, well, I mentioned Christ, but I haven't taught anybody. Well, you have to look for the opportunities. I use the old self as a carrot to get people's attention. Then I take them to the water, you see. Sharika says, yes, it takes place daily. It takes place in the time. And if you are not careful, you can be streaming thoughts of fear, worry, doubt, pain, and bad news. And you have to consciously make those old self-love thoughts into new self-love thoughts. How many of you find that to be true? When you wake up in the morning, have you found that sometimes what the old self will do is get you preoccupied with painful problems of the past? It may be something as small as the fact that you have to get your teeth cleaned, or you have to get some work done, or you have to deal with something that's happened to your child or whatever. And sometimes the old self will get you preoccupied on the pain of the problems of the past so it can rob you of the power of the moment. We have to understand that we are God's love bank, and we function and operate as God's love bank. And that means that we got to make love deposits in the bank of our soul rather than love withdrawals. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap things up here. Today has been one of those days where I have to turn this whole experience into a love deposit rather than a love withdrawal. And one of the ways I'm going to do that, I'm going to contact this Be Live program and ask them, why have my show been affected for the last 4 to 5 times? I've had to apologize to you, our listening audience, and those who chime in because this program breaks down. Now, don't think for a moment is just be live. What it is we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So when you are trying to live in your new self, you got to understand that the devil and the old self will keep showing up to make you start doubting whether or not you're growing. But I'm here to tell you, if in fact you have struggles with the old self, it's indicative of the fact that your new self is growing. And so what the devil will try to do is come and get you to doubt whether or not you're growing spiritually. And so we find Lillian here. It's been happening with me too. And Lillian, I want to encourage you to keep on keeping on. That's par for the course. Just think about this. Just because you start living in your new self don't mean that the devil's not going to try to stop you. You remember when Jesus went into the wilderness, he tempted him 3 consecutive times. And the first thing he would say is, if you are the Son of God, if you are the Son of God, command these stones to be turned to bread. If you are the Son of God, listen to me and bow down to me. What was he doing? When you are growing spiritually, the distance between your old self and your new self is spiritual growth. So it's natural, if you will, it's par for the course for you to have some challenges with the old self. But just keep in mind, the more you make a preponderance of love deposits in the bank of your soul, you override the old self, and the old self no longer can control you. That's the equivalent of walking in the spirit, so you will not fulfill the desires of the flesh. Good to see you, Erica Payne, and good to see those of you who are on here. I want you to know that we also have to turn withdrawals into deposits in ways that sometimes don't happen quickly. Sometimes you can turn a word into a deposit by just something simple as this. You say, man, I got all these problems. Don't have problems, have purpose opportunities. Or you can say, well, I'm old and all worn out. Don't say you're old and all worn out. Say I'm fishing in deeper water now. Something as simple as that. Or say, for example, I had an experience where I broke my eyeglasses and I needed those eyeglasses. Okay, now I can just put the eyeglasses in the shelf and just give up on them. And then consequently, it becomes a withdrawal. But what I did was I contacted the manufacturer, and I contacted manufacturer, and they agreed to rebuild my glasses and get them back to me for no charge. I turned a withdrawal into a deposit. Now, it didn't happen overnight, but it took some time. But see, when you stay with this whole notion of turning withdrawals, love withdrawals, into love deposits, you can change almost anything into a deposit rather than a withdrawal. And the more you do that, you then begin to have new self-love streaming rather than old self-love streaming. And that's the way the process works. Wayne Brown says, it's funny how your mind can play tricks on you. Well, what you got to understand is actually there's a battle going on inside your soul for the control of your mind between the old self and the new self. So the old self is designed to trick you and try to deceive you, to get you to lie, to get you to steal, to get you to cheat. That's the purpose of the old self. But the new self overrides the old self. It's a battle between the spirit and the flesh. But what I'm saying to us is we got to make it practical. So a lot of times when you talk about the spirit and the flesh, you got to understand the spirit is in charge of your new self. Your body or flesh is in charge of your old self. So when you walk in the spirit, you are making deposits in your new self-love. And when you walk in the flesh, you are making withdrawals in your old self-love. And you better believe the old self will try its best to play tricks on you. Amen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop right here. Again, for the last time, I apologize for the inconveniences that we've been having with this program. And I'm going to turn this withdrawal into a deposit. I may have to start going to another program, but I am not going to continue to let this happen anymore. Thank you again for chiming in. Have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you next Tuesday, 1 o'clock Central Time. Amen. Let it be so.